Are you ever told that you can't ask certain questions of these whistleblowers?
No, not really. There's it's certainly there's things that they will say that I can't say that in this setting.
Yeah. It's so frustrating for the audience to hear. All the most interesting questions you guys ask, everything's got to be behind closed doors.
Yeah. Imagine then you get behind closed doors and they say, we can't say that in this setting.
You're kidding.
Well, what's the right setting then?
Exactly. Or they basically say, well, this briefing was not read in at that level.
Wow.
And you're like, well, then for me, it's like I'm a financial advisor. I'm like, what? I don't even understand the classifications levels. Like, tell me what level and let's make it happen.
The level that you are seeking is also classified.
Yep.
The levels beyond above top secret or whatever are classified. You can't know until you get to that first one. But there was a really funny story about these Tic Tacs and drones and these sightings. And I was saying, it's probably U.S. military technology they're not disclosing. How insane would it be for the U.S. to be like, by the way, here's the latest weapon we've developed. It can fly and move through space and time. However, in the article, it said the sightings were 70 miles away from a naval research base for advanced aeronautics or whatever. And I was like, are we stupid? Come on. Like, the U.S. So not all of it, but I think one of the explanations we get often is that the U.S. government likes the narrative of aliens because it does two things. It throws people off the scent of the weapons tech they're developing, but it's also terrifying to our adversaries if they do believe that aliens have allied with us and have given us advanced tech.
Yes, I've heard that too. And there's moments where in this journey, I have come to that conclusion. But then there's also moments where so for example, one individual, I've had two people come to me that say that the Tic Tac is a Lockheed Martin creation. The latest person that came to me says that he has video of the first, second, and third iteration of the Tic Tac, and he's going to show me. So I'm trying to set that up. The way he describes it is that they had a prototype. They've made changes to it. They've made it more advanced. And then now it's in iteration number 3, which I did see a photo of, and it looks like pretty advanced military like craft, like a plane, but it's clearly human made. It's nothing that I've ever seen, our military has, but his claim is that they have discovered a propulsion that's a new type of propulsion. They used it in the first iteration, which was the Tic Tac. They have an intermediary one that they are more advanced with. And then now they're putting it inside of what looks conventional so that it's not obvious.
Disguised.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying eventually the tech makes its way into things that we're already familiar with.
Well,
right.
I thought you were explaining that if someone were to see it, they'd say it's a plane.
Right. They would say that's a military plane.
Right.
Interesting.
So the saucers and the Tic Tacs, it was kind of like, how's it flying? And they were like, can we put fake wings on it so people stop figuring out what we're doing?
Right.
Or, noticing that we're doing?
So I have a thought on the Tic Tac and things like that. Is it possible, and from your perspective, that this could be, we're talking about our technology. Could there be a situation where, our government or whoever would be pulling these strings would actually use that kind of technology on our own pilots to test and see how unsuspecting pilots would react to that technology, so that when they do use it in a situation of war, they can already predict what the pilots that they're using it on will do?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. Like if you're going to test it, you see what its capabilities are. Why not do it with
he's a congressman. You just said it. That proves it.
I mean, because that would like put people, the people that are coming forward and saying that they saw these things. You're not lying. They're not lying.
Yeah.
They saw this, and it's just this underlying agenda of, we have this technology, we're testing. Now, where did the technology come from? Whether it's reverse engineered or something we've been working on since the 60s, I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys remember the O'Hare UFO story, right?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. This is one of the most famous UFO stories, and I had friends working at the airport. This is shortly after I had quit. And unfortunately, cell technology, video was not very good. And so apparently this photo was taken by a pilot who looked out his window, and he had just a regular old school flip phone from the 2000s and snapped a picture. You can see this weird object. I had worked at, this happened, you can see the AA planes. This happened literally at the terminal, right over the terminal where I used to work. And like right next to the gates, because I worked for the regional, American Eagle Airlines is American Regional. So the people that I knew were like, we all saw it. And I'm like, these are people that I'd worked with. And I was like, get out of here, dude. My buddy still worked there, like a guy from my neighborhood that I grew up with and was still actively, like we all got hired at the same job. And then I quit, he stayed. And he said that people were like getting out of their cars and just in the middle of the road, walking up and just staring at the sky because they all saw it. And then it floated there for like a minute or two and then shot straight up into the sky and punched a hole in the clouds. And light came through because it's a cloudy day. And what am I supposed to make of that when most of these guys that I worked with, they were all kind of just like middle-aged Christian working class guys. They were I would say they were like relatively religious people. And then here's this thing where they all agree, like we all went outside and saw it. We don't know what to tell you. And then even my buddy saying like people were stopping their cars and getting out and looking up in the sky and just staring.
It happens. You ever see the miracle of the sun phenomena where like thousands of people saw the sun dancing? And
that's people after the resurrection, right?
No. This is like within the last 50 or 60 years, I believe.
What, really?
Yeah.
Miracle of the sun dancing?
Miracle of the sun. And people said the sun was like actually moving quickly towards Earth and that it had just rained. And as the sun moved towards Earth, everyone dried. The Catholic Church investigated it and said it was a thing.
Miracle of Fatima. A series of
1917.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
100 years.
Yeah.
A large crowd in Fatima, Portugal, in response to a prophecy. They said they'd seen extraordinary solar activity, sun appearing to dance or zigzag in the sky, advance towards the Earth, and even emit multicolored light or radiant colors.
The sun's a UFO.
Wasn't there Mother Mary involved in that story too?
Yeah, and like 3 children prophesied it, I believe.
Yeah, and
right. The prophecy was the Virgin Mary would appear and perform miracles in that date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Magicians exist, and I've seen some pretty impressive magic tricks. So if somebody was like, "Hey, I've worked out the perfect major stunt. Let's lie to everybody and claim something magic's gonna happen, and then we'll do a magic trick." So for this kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Look at Egypt with Moses. He had a staff from God, and the Pharaoh had secret. Crazy magicians practicing secret arts.
But yeah, I would suggest that in that story, the first 3 plagues that they matched were actually matched. It wasn't sleight of hand or trickery. When you look at the actual Hebrew words, which I'm not a Hebrew scholar, it actually suggests that what they did was not trickery, but was actually matched. And if it was trickery, they would have just continued to do the trickery to match the plagues.
Right.
One of my favorite stories is I was reading about ninjas. People think ninjas wear all black, and no, they don't. Historically, they would dress like commoners or like water maidens.
Oh,
because you're an assassin. Why are you gonna dress up in some weird outfits? Like, hey, look at that guy wearing all black. It must be him.
It's a ninja.
Watch out.
However, they would, before the assassinations, they would, like say near a lake or a pond, they would put wooden stakes just beneath the surface of the water. And so after they assassinated, the target, they would seemingly run across the surface of a lake, and everyone would stop at the water and be like, they're demons.
Wow.
Whoa.
But the intention was to escape in a way that they couldn't be followed, but also to strike fear that a mystical entity had just walked on water.
Which brings us back to Lockheed Martin. I genuinely believe a lot of this stuff is Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or different
Right now, there's a guy at Boeing going, "Come on."
And Boeing too, but you're failing. You're failing, Boeing.
Yeah.
Your planes aren't doing so well. You got people lost in space. Like, come on.
Fair point.
But like one of the frustrating things I saw in one of the hearings was one of the witnesses, when he was asked about this being a lot of these sightings being like advanced technology that we don't know about, he said something to the effect of, well, we have secret places where these things happen. They only happen at like these, far off. I'm like, that's like saying MK Ultra only happened in the laboratory. Like it's, MK Ultra happened eventually on a lot of people secretly, like a midnight climax situation. I think they are constantly testing on the public and on their own, pilots and army men, stuff like that. To know, like what Tony was saying, how does this work in a real life battle setting?
So with what you're saying, I would like to have your perspective, and maybe it's a gut perspective. Do you feel like there is an element, like we're talking about, this being human technology. Do you think that there could be an element, though, if we're talking about non-human intelligence, that there is technology here at play that is being reverse engineered? And yes, it's human technology we created it,
right,
but the actual information was sourced from somewhere else.
I think that's one theorized scenario that I continue to kind of keep and investigate. What I think is clear is that there was a crash retrieval program, and according to Jake Barber, I think this very believable that 95% of it was clearly, something. And if you've got that kind of program, let's say you find a Russian drone, and then you take that material, you give it over to Lockheed and say, hey, figure out what they're doing here. That is reverse engineering. So does reverse engineering exist? I would be shocked if it doesn't.
Absolutely.
But if it's non-human, that's the question.
Or what if Atlantis was real? Humans, Earth is not the first planet humans have been to. And then, have you guys seen the movie Moonfall?
I haven't.
Mm-mm. This movie was like a weird. The moon's falling, basically, and then it's got some A-listers in it. It turns out the moon is a terraforming space base that was part of an advanced civilization of humans that was destroyed by AI, and I'll just give you the quick story. Humans colonize a bunch of planets. They invent this AI nanobot system that can do everything for them. One day, for seemingly reasons unbeknownst to them, the AI unifies as a hive and then starts seeking to destroy the humans. And so the humans who escape the conflict as they're being wiped out build a bunch of terraforming bases, large spheres that can, create planets. They escape. Most of them are destroyed. One creates the Earth. And then the AI hunts human organic life. So the terraforming systems have the components to clone humans, but not carry them. So then it creates humans on Earth, and then there's this space, the moon is a space base that starts decaying, and they have to go up and fix it. Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.